The film opens with an elite group of soldiers known as the Phoenix Team entering a tunnel to carry out a high-risk mission. Their objective is to infiltrate the headquarters of an illegal arms-dealing mafia in the country of Costa Verde. After quickly neutralizing a guard, they take control of the CCTV system and manipulate it to their advantage. Meanwhile, two snipers from the Phoenix Team, Brandon and his partner Zandy, are stationed outside, waiting for a signal from their comrades inside the tunnel. Moments later, the signal comes, and Brandon and Zandy carefully select their targets before taking the shot. As the Phoenix Team emerges from the tunnel, they storm the Mafia's stronghold and spread out to execute their individual tasks. One by one, the enemies are silently eliminated. However, one of the Mafia members realizes their base is under attack and quickly alerts their boss, Kovalov. Sensing the situation, Kovalov, the ruthless Mafia leader, fires shots into the air and activates the alarm to rally his men. Chaos erupts, and a fierce firefight breaks out. On the other side of the battlefield, two of Kovalov's snipers attempt to take out Brandon and Zandy, but Zandy spots them just in time. Together, he and Brandon neutralize the threat. Kovalov and one of his remaining henchmen try to reposition themselves while continuing to fight back. In desperation, Kovalov contacts his ally, the Prime Minister, who is complicit in his criminal operations, and requests immediate reinforcements. To his surprise, the Prime Minister replies that backup will only arrive in 1 to 2 hours. Realizing the severity of the situation, Kovalov activates a deadly new weapon developed by his team, a last resort device designed to destroy everything if they're cornered. Shortly after, the Phoenix Team successfully surrounds Kovalov and his last remaining ally. Defiant, Kovalov declares that they will all be destroyed together. At that moment, a massive shockwave erupts, throwing everyone in the room, including Kovalov and his men, to the ground. The scene then flashes back to 2 days earlier, where a dragonfly-shaped aircraft lands on the barren land of Cave Verde. Brandon emerges from the aircraft. He has been called in to assist with the mission. He is greeted by Commander Modis, who expresses his gratitude for Brandon's arrival. Modis explains that Brandon's legendary skills as a sniper are a valuable asset to their forces. Two of Modis's men, including one named Nova, welcome Brandon warmly. During their journey to the base, Nova shares the tragic history of his country. He reveals that his father once ruled the nation but was betrayed and killed by his own uncle, who now serves as the current prime minister. The uncle has allied himself with a Russian mafia boss to develop advanced weapons technology, which, if completed, could be used to invade other nations. Upon arriving at the base, Brandon reunites with his old friend Zero, the head of the CIA. Zero explains that Brandon has been brought in to help capture Kovalov, the Russian mafia boss who has long been supplying illegal weapons to the United States. Now, however, Kovalov has become even more dangerous due to his alliance with the Prime Minister. Zero then introduces Brandon to the soldiers stationed at the base. Together, they will form a unified team to bring down Kovalov. Soon after, Modis introduces a young man named Zandy, a talented but inexperienced sniper who has yet to take a life. The team begins training as if they were already inside the Mafia's compound, with Zandy practicing his shooting under Brandon's mentorship. After training, Zandy asks Brandon what the hardest part of being a sniper is. Brandon responds that taking a life for the first time is the most difficult challenge. It forces a person to confront the reality of ending another human being's existence. They then discuss the layout of the room they'll be assaulting. Modis and his deputy outline the mission details, assigning specific roles to each soldier. Modis proudly names their unit Phoenix. A few hours later, the soldiers gather to relax and share a meal. One of them asks Modis who the first person he recruited was. Modis answers, his deputy, Angel. He goes on to recount Angel's incredible bravery during a confrontation with terrorists. Despite being stabbed 12 times, Angel continued fighting with her bare hands and ultimately defeated the attackers. Intrigued, the soldiers ask Angel to show them the scars from that battle, and she shyly obliges. After the meal, Brandon approaches two soldiers who are always seen together. He asks if they're a couple, but they explain they are siblings. They're known as the twin axes, because they always rely on their axes as backup weapons. The next day, Zero asks Angel what she's working on. Angel reveals that she is sketching the face of the militant who killed her daughter. She hopes to one day avenge her loss. It turns out that the killer is one of the Prime Minister's men. This is the reason Angel joined the team. Later, Modis gathers the troops to deliver a motivational speech. He emphasizes that their primary mission is to capture Kovalov alive so he can be tried in international court and expose the Prime Minister's crimes. However, if Kovalov resists, they are authorized to eliminate him. One evening, Modis asks Brandon about Zandy's progress. He wants to know if Zandy is worthy of being considered Brandon's equal. Brandon replies that he will test Zandy that very night. If Zandy fails, he will be excluded from the mission. That night, Brandon takes Xandy to a secluded area and instructs him to shoot a man who is smoking outside a nearby house. Xandy hesitates, confused about killing someone without a clear reason. Brandon firmly tells him not to overthink, it's part of the job. With lingering doubt, Xandy pulls the trigger, only to discover the gun was loaded with blanks. Xandy is puzzled, but Brandon explains it was a psychological test. If Xandy had refused to pull the trigger, he would have failed and been disqualified from the mission. Fortunately, despite his hesitation, Xandy passed. Brandon then reveals that he himself once failed a similar test and had to undergo 2 more years of training as a result. The next day, the entire Phoenix team prepares for their mission. They pile into their vehicles and head out for combat, just as shown in the film's opening scenes. The scene then returns to the present, where Kovalov is about to detonate the powerful weapon he had activated. Unexpectedly, everyone in the room survived the blast, including Kovalov, though with minor injuries. Suddenly, Zero entered and immediately held Kovalov at gunpoint. Soon after, the entire Phoenix team, including Brandon, gathered and turned to Modis for an explanation. Modis informed them that Kovalov had released a sonic wave from his weapon, but luckily, no one was seriously harmed. He urged the team to retrieve the server data from the advanced weapon still under development. However, Kovalov warned that the Prime Minister's militant forces were approaching, and the sonic wave would soon trigger a fatal chain reaction. Sure enough, Modis and the entire Phoenix team, including Kovalov, collapsed moments later. Kovalov's weapons engineer was interrogated on how to stop the impending disaster, but he confessed it was too late. Everyone exposed to the wave was doomed. Only a few Phoenix members remained on their feet. Zero ordered an immediate evacuation, but Angel refused to leave without burying their fallen comrades. A heated argument broke out, until Nova suggested Brandon make the final call. After considering, Brandon decided to retrieve the server data. If they failed, the Prime Minister could complete the weapon and destroy a city, or even a nation, in 3 minutes. He ordered Zero and Nova to the lab for the data, while the others carried their comrades' bodies to the tunnel. Inside the lab, Nova revealed the weapon was already 70% complete, and the previous blast was just a small-scale test. He also disclosed that several countries, including North Korea, had already acquired raw materials. Zero asked if they could transport the entire server, but Nova said it wasn't possible without numerous vehicles. Brandon then decided to upload the server data to a satellite for United Nations access. Destroying the lab now would prevent detection of any future weapon developments. The team regrouped as Brandon laid out the plan. Angel voiced concern about the time required for the upload, as the militants were closing in. Still, Brandon insisted the risk was necessary. With everyone on board, Brandon assigned tasks. Nova would manage the upload, while the others prepared ammunition, traps, and strategic positions. Nova also tried to contact Modi's allies for backup, though he wasn't hopeful. 30 minutes later, the upload was only halfway done. Brandon gave Nova a phone, explaining the first call would detonate a hallway bomb, the second one the lab. With everyone in position, Hera, still grieving her brother, vowed to fight for revenge. Soon after, the militants breached the perimeter with 2 vehicles. Brandon's team fought back, killing dozens. Hera ran out of ammo and was told to retreat. Cornered, she fell into the water. Surrounded, she tricked the enemies by saying they had the wrong woman. Then, wielding her trusted axe, she took them down. Meanwhile, Xandy, Angel, and Zero were also pinned down. Just in time, Brandon dropped from the rooftop and ordered them to retreat while he covered them. In another area, Angel confronted and killed the woman responsible for her daughter's death. Brandon and Zero regrouped. Zero directed Brandon to the kitchen while he headed to the office to face another group of enemies. Brandon also battled soldiers in a separate location. Nova was surrounded by 7 enemies. Desperate, he made the first call, detonating the hallway bomb. He told the team the upload was complete and urged immediate evacuation to the rendezvous point. The scene shifted to Hera, surrounded again. Suddenly, the lights went out. When she switched on her flashlight, she was ambushed and killed. Elsewhere, Brandon urged his team forward. As he tried to escape, he was shot and collapsed. Zero rushed to his side, assuring him it would be okay. Nova was also shot multiple times, but Xandy and Angel eliminated the attackers. The team reached the rendezvous point. Nova gave Brandon the phone and told him to make the second call. Tragically, Nova died before he could. Brandon ordered the team to brace for the blast. Enemy troops advanced. He told the others to retreat into the tunnel while he stayed behind to hold them off. Zero refused to leave, reminding Brandon that he had been the one to bring him on the mission, and he wouldn't abandon him now. Brandon told Angel and Xandi to go, stressing the importance of delivering the data to the UN. He and Zero charged into the open, fighting until they ran out of ammo and were surrounded. Suddenly, reinforcements arrived. Modi's allies Nova had contacted earlier, and wiped out the remaining enemies. They rushed Nova to the hospital, discovering he was still alive. In the aftermath, Brandon and Zero returned to the US. Angel and Xandi thanked them. Angel revealed that the Prime Minister had been captured and replaced by Nova, who was recovering. Brandon and Zero departed, and with that the story ends here.